All right, the question is, how is the best way to introduce our firearms to our family members? All right, cool. So, all right, guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your host, the one and only Jaburo. So today we are talking about how do we introduce our firearms to our children, our young children, our family members, things along that line. So it's a great question because there are a lot of people that I've come across, just online and people I've actually met, like, working in a gun store, that say that they can't get a firearm, right? That they can't buy a firearm based off of the fact that they have children, they have a younger teenage sister, that they don't want to have access to it. They don't want any accidents, things like that. And it's a legit question, and it's a legit concern, right? Because especially recently, this past summer in the news, especially in the Philadelphia area, we've had several incidences of children shooting themselves, shooting their siblings, shooting their parents, just from these negligent firearm practices, right? And I mean, it could be a plethora of different reasons, mainly between not storing it correctly, not staging your firearm correctly, making sure that the people who are not supposed to have access to it don't. But one of the bigger issues that I see is the fact that we don't prioritize making sure that our children, our family members, are safe around our firearm, right? The biggest thing that we can see is for sure that we fear what we don't understand. And in this sense, a lot, especially in our black community, when it comes to firearms and firearm training and children, we try to fully separate the two of them. And I don't think necessarily that that's the way to rock, because we give our children almost daily, especially in this time and day and age. And it's not even that we do it on purpose. We just put our children and allow our children to be in situations where they are exposed to firearms pretty much daily, whether it be through Call of Duty, Fortnite, right? Them sitting in front of the TV, Avengers movies. I mean, just about everything we do, right, as a culture right now, as a society, almost everything that we do, the things that we like, the things that we're attracted to, has some sort of violence in it, has some sort of firearms in it, right? And we don't then turn around and say, you know what, little Tammy, we watched movies about firearms all the time, right? We play video games with guns in it all the time, right? Let me sit you down now and let's talk about the reality of firearms. Let's talk about how we can be safe around it. Let's talk about when you should ever pick up or touch a firearm. And these are aspects that we don't focus on. And it's sad because then again, our children are the ones that are coming around and having accidents. And it's really just based around training. So, one of the ways that I've taught firearms to kids, and I really found this to be pretty effective, is the idea of stamping out the curiosity, right? Children naturally are curious beings, right? And when you have a level of curiosity that is not checked with reality, that's when bad things can happen. Okay, so I always give this example all the time. Let's say, worst case scenario, you leave your firearm out somewhere. You don't put it away, you don't lock it up, or however it is that you stage and store your firearm, and your child comes across access to it. What reaction would you want your child to have to that firearm? Would you want them to look at it and say, "Oh, a gun, oh my goodness"? Or would you want them to say, "Oh, that's mom's gun. That's dad's gun. I gotta go let them know that they left it out." Right? Those two differences right there could truly be the line between life and death, right? Or injury or not injured, right? And it's based off of, like I said, that curiosity effect. Children being curious towards that firearm is what generally leads them, especially with curiosity without the wisdom or the knowledge behind what that thing is a recipe for disaster. So how do we stamp out that curiosity effect, right? I think it just comes down basically to teaching them, number one, the firearm safety rules, teaching them when do we use this? Okay, dad has a firearm, dad has a gun, right? When should this be out? When should you touch it? Okay. In that line of work, that line of education with them is a must, because if your child goes and they understand, oh, I should never put my finger on the trigger, I should always treat it as if it's loaded, I should always point it in a safe direction, then if they come across your gun when they're not supposed to, or however they come across it, they're keeping that in mind when they deal with that. They keep that in mind while they're handling your firearm, right? So that's important. If they don't know, naturally, and it just happens. This is my trainer I use. Naturally, whenever you hand anybody a gun, especially somebody untrained, the first thing you see them do is this. They put their finger right there on that trigger. All the time. I see it every single time you hand an untrained person a gun. And it's not their fault, but it's just natural in a sense of they know that's where your finger's supposed to go. So that's where they put it. They didn't know if it's loaded or not, right? They're not paying attention to where they point that thing either a lot of the times. But when you teach, especially a child, they soak up knowledge like a sponge. When you teach a child, hey, listen, when you grab this thing, you keep your finger off the trigger, you point it in a safe direction, you must be aware of your surroundings. You have to know what a safe direction is, because it's not always down, right? But when you teach a child that from the beginning and you make sure that they understand it, you practice it with them, that's what they're going to do. That's how they handle their firearm. My 2-year-old, right? If I was to hand her this trainer right now, the first thing she's going to do is grab it, and she keeps it down. And she'll look at me and be like, Dad, down? And I'm like, yep, keep it in the safe direction. It's possible, but you need that education base. So I would say definitely start there. Start with the 4 firearm safety principles, right? Always treat it like it's loaded. Keep your finger off that trigger. Point it in a safe direction. And when you're shooting, know your target and what's beyond your target, right? So that you're not shooting things that you don't intend to shoot. After that, the very next step should be to do things like put that firearm in their hand, of course, while it's unloaded. Clear it, check the magazine, check the chamber, and then give it to them. And if not, you don't want to jump to that step, start with something like this. Start with the trainer, right? And that is a big step in stamping out that harmful curiosity, because once they have it in their hands, they're able to hold it, handle it, they're examining it, like, you're going to give them a level of understanding and comfortability with that firearm that does not encourage them to run and grab and pick it up the first time they see it, right? And then, even if that's not the case, I would say afterwards, you should definitely train with them, right? Train with them, take them out to the range if they're ready. And, and you figure that out by asking them a lot of times. Some, I've met some 7-year-olds that are ready for the range and they perform excellent. And I've met some 18-year-olds that were not ready, right? And you have to gauge your child's understanding, your child's wisdom, your child's maturity within that. And your child best. But even, like I said, even if it's not straight to the range, even if it's dry fire around the house, while you're practicing your dry fire, and I hope you are dry firing, right? You own a firearm, you should be dry firing. But have them dry fire with you, and you can even do that and amplify their skills. You could even use a trainer like this. Okay, this is a Glock 19. This is a BB gun. I use it to train. It feels just like a real Glock 19, yet it's not. It's a BB gun, right? Magazine drops, you can see there, it holds BBs, it doesn't take regular rounds. And this is a really, really good one because it'll give them the actual feel of a firearm without actually having a firearm, especially if you're worried about that safety in the beginning. But this is a great thing to train with. It's a great way to bridge the gap between them going from the space of not having a firearm and having no experience to the space of, okay, I'm starting to grow my knowledge and my confidence within this, to know, okay, this is not a toy. This is something that we have to use in certain situations, and we may go to the range and practice with it, But these are all things that are really, really important that I feel like a lot of people miss out on the idea of, especially when they're talking about owning a firearm or bringing a firearm into an environment with their children. So I hope you guys found this video beneficial. Again, remember, I'm a new gun channel. Like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment down below. all that jazz. And keep a lookout for more content coming out too. I'm definitely trying to pump out more content for you guys. And if there's anything that you have questions on, more questions about, let me know down below and we can definitely talk, right? We can do videos on it and stuff like that. But go check out my TikTok, go check out my Instagram, all of that. The link should definitely be down below to my link tree, so you can go check out all the other social media posts that I make. But yeah, guys. Oh, how could I forget? Remember, always, always, always study, act, and then repeat. All right, guys, take it easy.